Hello creatives, welcome to my channel, Artist Star. My name is Beth and I'm here at the gallery where I'll take some time to take a look at famous artists' creative paths through reading the Cards of Truth charts. If you'd like a better understanding about this process of combining Western and Vedic astrology with the overlay of the ancient archetype meanings of the 52 playing cards, you'll find links in the description box below. Today, I'm taking an in-depth look at the 60s underground artist Andy Warhol's chart. Andy's birth card is the 8 of Diamonds, as he was born on August 6, 1928, before sunrise. So his card is actually the day before. Other 8 of Diamond days are, and that is on or after sunrise, are January 19, February 17, March 15, April 8th, May 11th, June 9th, August 5th, September 3rd, and October 1st, after sunrise. If it's before sunrise, you're the card of the day before. Here is a year spread to find your birth card. So let's first talk about the meaning of the diamond suit in general. Diamonds attract attention, as something sparkly would, and thus a strong possibility of having a magnetic persona, whatever your number is. The diamond suit also represents things that are concrete, such as possessions of land or valuables like art and jewelry. Diamonds also in general represent one's talents, successes, self-worth, intelligence, and psychic energy. It's a red suit, so that gives it the receptive yin quality. And we can also consider the correlating tarot meaning of the 8 of Diamonds in the major arcana. It's the Hanged Man, the meaning of which is a period of inactivity or a taking time for reflection to allow for new opportunities to manifest. So let's get started with what a Cards of Truth chart system looks like. In the upper left is the birth chart with the 8 of Diamonds there at the top. Middle top is the yearly chart, then upper right is the day. Second row below, bottom left is the 7 years, then bottom middle is weekly, and the bottom right is down to the minute, giving the reader an extraordinary overview to divine with. But for today, let's take a closer look at the upper left birth chart for Andy. Here is what a Cards of Truth chart looks like for all 8 of Diamonds people. Right here at the top of the chart is the placement for the birth card. 8 of Diamonds people are pretty self-secure, and that stability is reinforced by the supporting underlying card, the Queen of Spades. She lends a measure of self-validation. Then here at the top is something called the motivating overlying card, and that's the 7 of Clubs. 7, being an odd number, represents movement. And the club suit represents intellectual pursuits. Also, 7s have a spiritual significance, such as the 7 chakras and being the number of completion in Christianity and Jewish religions. Just a couple of examples. Andy's astrology chart indicates a big and intense personality, with his sun sign as well as his ascendant, that's the inner self, Mars, the action planet, Venus, artistic and beauty, and Neptune, mystic and illusionary, all in the sign of Leo and all in the first house of self. Andy always had support from his art-appreciating father, and his mother, an artist in her own right, gave Andy his first art lessons and gave him his first camera at age 9. Andy's father died when Andy was 14, and it's said before he passed, he made certain that Andy would get the financial support he needed to go to school, and asked Andy's older brother John to take care of Andy, and John happily did so. So besides being the stable, sparkly Eight of Diamonds, the cards of truth adds another strong factor, the King of Spades. In the sun placement, see that sun symbol right there. Just as it suggests, kings are noble and steadfast. And because it's a spade, it's in the physical and mental way. As long as it isn't hindered or hobbled by the rest of the chart, and Andy's looks like it could be held back with a little bit with so many other planets sharing the same space as it's indicated right here. But not much can hold the sun sign back. So for me, I'd combine all of these traits, and I'd guess someone who is highly self-actualized, a strategist, and an opportunistic planner. Clearly, whatever you think of Andy and his art, you have to know he didn't care what people thought of him, and he clearly used his talents and differences strategically. Next, his moon placement. You can see the symbol for the moon right there. And you see the symbol for Pluto right here. That's the planet that expands things, good or bad. Pluto doesn't discriminate. And right here, you see the 12th cusp. Now that represents losses and results of battle or enemies' actions, secret enemies, prison and hospitals. 3s represent movement because of an odd number, and hearts, as you might suspect, emotions. So it tells me that he would express his emotions in an expansive and expressive way with Pluto present, suggesting also emotional risk-taking and love without codependency. His challenge would come from the 12th cusp. I'd guess he would have had plenty of frenemies and hangers-on with self-serving agendas, who no doubt would cause lots of emotional turmoil or pleasure. Who knows? I'd guess that he may have had an explosive temper and a big heart as well. And his art would follow suit and be big and expressive as well. Next placement is the action planet Mars. You can see the symbol for Mars right there. And here you see the intellectual new beginning Ace of Clubs, representing how Eight of Diamonds deal with crisis. In this Mars position, you see that it holds the moon, which is his emotions, and Uranus, which is his uniqueness. The 4th cusp represents home, happiness, cars, real estate, art. And the 9th cusp represents luck, travel with purpose, and higher education and family as a unit. This tells me that Andy took action by expressing new ideas and taking action with new thoughts and emotional beginnings. He was living his art. His Mercury placement, that's Mercury right there, has the intellectual, knowledge-seeking Queen of Clubs. Andy went to Carnegie Mellon, by the way. And interesting, Andy also has his Rahu, or the North Node here, which is an artistic clue to fulfilling one's karmic path. The Rahu, or North Node, encourages you to think outside the box, get out of your comfort zone, and take risks. It's actually key to karmic advancement. And the 2nd cusp here represents resources and worth, collections, close environment, including family and friends, and his innate talents, natural talents. And the 11th cusp represents the material gains, desires, peers, awards, and social and political gatherings. So this indicates an even stronger desire to express and take risks with a written and or symbolic word. Maybe that's where he got the idea for the soup can art. Next comes the Ten of Spades. It's in the Jupiter placement. Jupiter brings joy and wisdom, and the Ten of Spades is described as carrying your burdens and walking through hell with a smile. It is not an easy card. And if that isn't heavy enough for you, we see Saturn, the planet of sober reality, wake-up calls, and his K2, or the South Node, is here as well. The South Node is what you bring with you from past lives into this life. We also have the fifth cusp, another tell for artists, as it actually represents creativity and knowledge, as well as hard knocks. And the eighth cusp represents weaknesses, surgery, sudden changes, along with addictions. But we can make better art with knowing ourselves better, what our weaknesses and addictions might be holding us back. So overall, this suggests to me that under the influence of Jupiter, the planet that brings joy and wisdom in a big way, he might have had a very dark sense of humor and took in stride the darker side of Saturn's hard knocks and challenges, along with the cusp challenges of facing his weaknesses and the effort it took to move forward as part of the deal. Maybe he took his rewards as they came. It would also, for Andy, be somewhat of an inner journey as well. On an interesting note here, the Cards of Truth system in the Jupiter placement indicates what gets averted. So maybe it was more like a karmic pass, as it may be, and what could be a big deal ends up being a little deal. Like your car gets a flat tire, which prevents you from being in a 50-car pileup down the road, that sort of thing. Next is Venus, which is the planet all about art and beauty. I find it very interesting that once again, an odd number 5, meaning movement, and clubs, meaning intellectual pursuits. He is yet again a free thinker, ready to toss over ideas again and again, with the third cusp representing his skills, ambition, courage, all great things for a creative to embody. And here is the Mars, the action planet, making him a lover, not a fighter. And with Jupiter, joy and wisdom brings bigger, loving nature. And this X here represents something called the midheaven, which holds the clues as to what and where you'll find success with rewards and fulfilling work. It's beautiful in the telling of how rewarded and successful he'd be, and how satisfied he'd feel being driven and inventive with his art. The Three of Diamonds, here in Saturn placement, is with the 6th and 7th cusp. No planets here. Now, remember that Saturn is the planet of sober reality and good or bad wake-up calls and epiphanies. However, necessary, as we know, for the soul. We have to experience these things in life to keep us moving forward, and Andy's movement is toward bettering his concrete needs and wants with a 3 movement and diamonds concrete. That's the placement. In what way is shown here with the 6th and 7th cusp, 6 representing intellectually solving problems as well as open enemies and debt. The 7th cusp is an interesting one to have here as well, as it represents business and or romantic partnerships, and the public. For Andy, that could be all rolled into one. He had so many muses. But this tells me that because of the number 3 represents smaller life's events, he would have had smaller obstacles and debts, as well as smaller issues in general with partnerships. These next 2 placements here are the North Node, Rahu, the clue to our life path fulfillment, and South Node, Ketu, what we bring with us and is easily accessible and familiar to us from our past life. Let's look at the past life 7 of Hearts, as it suggests a deeper acceptance and understanding that relationships aren't easy. 7s are a bigger number, so bigger movement and spiritually connected. Hearts are emotional. And the underlying supporting 8 of Hearts, that adds a solid acceptance of oneself again. And interestingly, the overlying card, the motivator, Ace of Spades, which is Rahu, or his North Node. His life path, all around, intense. So what does that Ace of Spades represent for Andy's life fulfillment? If you look right here, yep, 7 of Hearts, round and round and round you go. Or maybe it's a balance of yin and yang between past and present. Spades in general are a more difficult and challenged path to be on with physical and mental discoveries. Aces in general are beginnings. So perhaps it's a lemonade out of lemons kind of thing. Rich fodder for creating art nonetheless. The last 3 placements are called the outer planets, and Uranus is what makes us unique in other people's eyes, that we don't necessarily see ourselves. And 8 of Diamonds, people have the 5 of Spades here. The 5 of Spades is a solo show, going it alone, letting go, physically, mentally, cleansing, and always restoring oneself in a grounded way, with the 10 of Hearts supporting and the 4 of Diamonds as a motivator. Neptune is what we experience as illusions and dreams, and, well, how we allow self-delusion. Here we have the Jack of Hearts, someone who is lighthearted and easygoing when it comes to pursuing what they love. Can also mean someone who is fickle and a charmer. But this would have made him all the more sparkly when going for what he loved. His Neptune is in the first cusp of self, remember. So it would have played a bigger role in his personality. And by the way, a bigger role in his personality also with the fixed card, what we call a fixed card because of the underlying and overlying being the same as the Jack of Hearts. So it's like always a heightened state of being, which is his sun sign as well. So it just adds a lot more strength to it. Pluto, the expansion of rewards or challenges. Like I mentioned earlier, Pluto doesn't discriminate, and the 9 of Clubs here is expanding on a higher level of intellectual pursuits. It also represents signing contracts and is the right direction card. So it's probable that Pluto would have thrown some surprising and difficult curveballs into Andy's left field. However, Pluto's hard lessons are always for the greater good in the end. So creatives, there you have it. I hope you liked it, and if you'd like a personal reading, you'll find a link to contact me below. Thanks for visiting, and please leave me a comment if you like, and any names of famous artists' creative paths you'd like to hear about. Please subscribe and hit the like button. It means a lot to me and my soul and life purpose. I'll sign off with an Andy Warhol famous quote. Don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they're deciding, make even more art.